SMQBs, this is episode 140. Milk, Tampa, give us a number.
What is it? 76.8 million?
Oh, we'll come back. We'll come back to that later. We'll come back to that later.
Yes. That's my number. Jimbo
Brian
Fisher's
Pope
buyout.
coming to us from Dallas. What do you got? Oh, look at him wearing that Texas hat. He's all committed now, full of shit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
600.
Really, it's almost broken in.
Yeah.
640.
What's that?
That is the number of yards that the Cowboys racked up on the helpless Giants defense yesterday. The most since yours truly was 13 days old in 1966.
Ouch. Okay, Rooster, you're the Giants fan. What's your number?
0. The number of games won by an NFL quarterback who lives with his mother.
And his name, the last name DeVito.
And she tucks him in.
Oh God.
All right.
Yeah.
House from Philly in some airport heading to Philly. What do you got?
Well, it might sound like I'm in an airport, but I have a throng of live fans behind us, SMQB fans. So if there's noise today, it's just because, yes,
Live.
we're recording
Obviously.
live. Yeah. But my number is 50, which is not only the number of points Tyrese Maxey scored last night, but how about this? It is also the first time in over 400 regular season games that Joel Embiid has played where he ever had a teammate scored more than 40 points in a game that he played in. Crazy.
Wow. All
I
right.
jumped on the pod today, by the way, to find out who Maxey is. I have no idea who this guy is. So I'm looking forward to learning about him.
All right. I'm going to go with my number is 1, or really first, and that's modern era Formula One Grand Prix Vegas week. This week, everyone, a lot of excitement around that. Although ticket prices and hotel prices plummeting, a lot of people worried about the temperature plummeting and also ratings plummeting. So a lot of excitement around Vegas Grand Prix week, but we'll have to report back next week and see how it turned out. Guys, let's get into NFL week numero 10. Rooster, what do you got for us?
Well, a couple of images really struck me this past week. One was Bill Belichick's face at the end of that hapless Colts game, in which I think the Germans took a vote and decided never to allow the NFL back in their country again after that game. But man, looking at Bill Belichick's face, I got the feeling that Kraft said to him, "Look, man, you better win this game." And what do you guys think? I don't think there's any chance he's back next year. What do you think the chances of him being out after this game are?
0.
I don't think they're going to fire him. I think they're just going to strip him of his responsibilities.
Word is that he has a contract through the end of next year. And so if anything, it could result in them trading him. But if they don't trade him as a coach, they're stuck with him for one more year.
Well, if they could get him to resign and then some other team wants him, they get to say, hey, he's technically still under contract. We'll trade him to you. You're right. And get like a second round pick or something for him.
Why does he want to keep doing this?
That's what my question is.
No idea.
Because the more
he's chasing the all-time wins.
Yeah, but the more time that passes, now we're 5 years from the last playoff win.
Yeah.
We're so many years from Brady. It's ruining. His legacy is getting destroyed every season.
It is.
On. So get out now.
They're a lot like the Giants. They're not one player away from getting back to the Super Bowl.
No,
it'd be like Saban continuing on for 5-6 years after the heyday. It just wouldn't happen.
I mean, Brady won a Super Bowl, and when he left, and Belichick his teams are getting worse and worse and worse. It's just feeding into that the narrative that Belichick needed Brady. Brady didn't need Belichick.
To make his headache even bigger, Mac Jones came out today and dumped all over the coaches for their play calling during that game, as if the play calling caused him to underthrow a wide open Mike Gesicki in the end zone
Look,
by
I'll tell you,
15 yards.
you know what was bad about their play calling? They let Mac Jones throw it at any point in time. They should have just been handing it off if they knew it was
so
smart.
funny.
Right.
So I mean,
Sucks.
you're right.
His regression has been really sad. I mean, I had a lot of hope for him, but I read an article today about Belichick that I thought was pretty good. That basically they said this started years ago, and it gets to his position as GM. Is that if you go back and you look at the drafts that he's had over the years, it's been pretty awful. A lot of these guys haven't panned out. He traded away first round, all the things that have happened are a lot. But this catastrophe started 5 years ago, and it's now coming together finally. So
he's never drafted a wide receiver worth a damn.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just Mac Jones. I mean, this is just a culmination of years of bad decisions.
It's
I
institutional
mean,
at this point.
what is he? He's 71 years old, right?
Yeah, and he just looks miserable.
He doesn't have anything to prove.
Pope is right. He's chasing, what's his name? Tom Landry's record.
He didn't exactly look happy when he was winning.
Don Shula.
Not Landry.
Yeah.
He's past Landry. He passed Landry already.
Yeah.
So now he's after Shula.
Landry's an also-ran.
He might be trying to prove a point.
Don't go there.
Also, with Brady, he might be like,
but you're right. Every day he keeps trying to prove that point. He's proving Brady's point. He's making Brady's case for him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So conversely to Mac Jones, let's talk about CJ Stroud. I mean, we've been
wait. Can I just say
one more thing?
One more thing on Belichick.
Yeah.
I don't know. This league, it's proven time and time again that this is a younger person's league, right? With coaches, the hot coaches that come in and instantly, maximize a team for the most part are younger people. Why somebody would trade a pick for Belichick at age 71?
Not a 3, not a 4.
I wouldn't want him.
No.
Nothing. So
I'd take
Andy
Antonio Pierce over him right
old.
now.
Andy Reid is really one of the exceptions. I mean, really, but for
trade
the
for
most
Andy
part,
Reid right now.
But for the most part, come on, this is a young coaches league. That's where the innovation is. That's where they relate to the players better. Anyway, I just don't know why Belichick needs to just retire and enjoy the millions of dollars that he's made, and will still go down in history as the greatest, but certainly one of the top 3 greatest coaches of all time in the NFL.
Yeah.
All right.
Time
to get out. So we were talking about CJ Stroud. There's a lot of hype about him. The people are starting to catch up to the SMQBs. We've been blowing CJ Stroud's horn for a month now. He's, after 10 weeks, he's top 10 in passing yards, TDs, QBR, and interceptions. He only has 2 interceptions through 10 games. Last 2 games, he's led his team, in the final minute of the game for a game-winning drive. Do you guys think that the talk about him being in the MVP conversation is premature or legit?
I don't know if it's premature. I mean, I think right now by stats alone, he certainly would merit consideration, but we got a long way to go before we get to some serious MVP discussions.
They're 5-4, right?
Yeah.
They
would be in the playoffs now if it ended today.
They're a 2-8 team. They're a 2-7 team without him, and they're 5-4 with him. They should be 6-3. I don't know how they lost to the Panthers.
No, he'd have to he'd have to take Houston to the Super Bowl or something.
This MVP talk is relative to, past experience of either, Texans quarterbacks. I don't know. He's baked 2 souffles. He's not a chef. He's very good. And let's see if he gets them to a winning record. If he gets them to a winning record into the playoffs, maybe. But I think it's premature.
And there's no other glaring, winner. I mean, it has to be a parity MVP for him to get it this year.
I agree with you guys, but I do think he has established himself as having an elite skill set for a quarterback already. He's not a fluke.
Did anyone watch the end of the game yesterday?
Yes.
The Bengals game? What is going on? Like the
I
Bucks.
thought we agreed we weren't going to talk about that.
Yeah, I know. God,
That
was
game
horrible.
knocked me out of the KC
For-
suicide.
Yeah,
For our
me too.
listeners, we went all in on the Bengals on the
Yep,
Survivor.
I'm
pool,
out of
and
every Survivor pool. ever.
We're out. What are these?
Pull up a stool, fellas. I've been missing you.
What were the Bengals running on defense? Because I mean, I don't know if they saw the Bucks the week before, but I hope they weren't just giving these receivers 10, 15 yards on every play. Because
On the last drive, they were.
You mean like the Wink Martindale defense against the Cowboys?
he's going to burn them up. That's what he does. They did it the week before. And it's like I was watching it. I'm like, oh, he's got a minute 30 left. Last week was 46 seconds. And he had a timeout, I think. And there it was. It was like he'll complete. He has no problem completing a 40-yard pass with some prevent defense or whatever they were doing. And I mean that's pretty awesome for a rookie quarterback to be able to do that.
Listen, I think he's a very promising young quarterback right now. Clearly the best out of the draft class at this point. Let's talk in 4 more weeks about MVP situation. That's where I come down on it.
Way too early for MVP.
Yeah. That's my position. He's fun to watch, and I'm glad I picked him up in fantasy. I'll tell you that. But yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well,
did you win your game? Did you win your game?
No, I did not. But if AJ Brown hadn't been on a bye, I would have won.
Yeah, right.
Eagles can't save people every week. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know. It's okay. It's all right.
All right. So, as these teams this week showed that as the quarterbacks go, the teams go, with no exception, really. I think we all agree that Mac Jones and Zach Wilson have established themselves as backup quarterbacks for the rest of their careers. Kyler Murray, back up to the second stringer, maybe. Kyler Murray, though, comes back. Looked like the old Kyler Murray, didn't he?
At least running the ball.
He has not lost a step, that's for sure. He's fast.
Kyler sucks.
He's good enough for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, but what are the Arizona Cardinals doing?
I'm worried about it. I want them to continue. Well, I want them to win, actually.
They did win.
You should want them to win.
I want them to win for draft purposes.
So what are the Cardinals doing? I mean, if they play Kyler and let's say they win 3 or 4 more games somehow, then they have played themselves out of a top, 6 or 7 pick. I mean, are they wedding themselves to Kyler? I mean, they can't root for him to lose. If they're playing him, don't play him.
Well, how can they tell, though, if they don't play him? So they either play him and find out they need to draft a quarterback because he loses, or he plays well and they decide they'll draft, Marvin Harrison or something.
I guess, but you would have thought
left tackle, which is
you
what
would
every
have thought
team
they
should be
would
doing.
know what they have by now. They wouldn't need to play him in order to see if they want to keep him. He's going to cost them the top draft pick.
I was
Right.
shocked they got rid of Dobbs.
Right.
They should have kept Dobbs.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how about
Taking it higher.
Deshaun? Do we think that Deshaun is? I said earlier this year, if Deshaun is an average quarterback, the Browns are a good team. He looked like a above average quarterback yesterday. Can he keep that up?
Well, I mean, sure he can. We know he has the skill set to do it, but look, the NFL's a week-to-week league, and it's a "what have you done for me lately" league. So these guys look hot, because they've had a good week or 2 good weeks, and everyone gets excited, and they're just 1 game away from being trash again, right?
Or can they stay healthy? Because he had an MRI of his ankle today. He was in a boot leaving the stadium last night.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
He says he's going to play, but I mean, it's never good when you have an MRI of your ankle.
But I got to tell you though, I don't understand. I mean, look, there's all sorts of quarterback rankings out there. I don't know how you rank these guys, but this is the CBS Sportsline power rankings right now. All right, number 1, Lamar Jackson.
Excuse me.
I don't understand that. Number 2, Jalen. I think that's probably appropriate.
Yeah,
Number 3, Josh Allen. Josh Allen hasn't
He's
looked
having a
good this
horrible
season.
year.
Number 4, CJ Stroud. Number 5, Mahomes. Number 6.
How do you put Mahomes at 5?
Ranking. What is
I don't
the
know.
criteria?
Well, that's what I'm saying is, I mean, there's all sorts of different rankings out there. And, it says they're focused on current standings and the bigger picture. I don't know what it means is like, but, and again, I just pulled this one up, but that's outrageous. I mean, that's what I mean. It's so like, look, the best quarterbacks in the NFL are Mahomes,
Hurts.
and probably Burrow at this
Yep.
point because he's, since he's been healthy. But under that, I mean,
You
I
have
don't
to
know
put
if you can
Herbert
throw
as
Josh
best,
Allen
but his
out.
team is so bad.
You can't throw Josh Allen out yet.
You have to put Justin Herbert in there for his talent. His team is just horrendous.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's weird. I think these rankings are weird.
Did anyone watch that Lions Chargers game?
No.
It was a typical
No.
Oh, it was just back and forth though.
typical game. Whoever gets the ball last is going to win the game. Jared Goff hung in there with Herbert, and the Chargers, they can't. It reminded me of the Colorado Buffs game that I went to Saturday. Great passing offense. They can't run the ball. They had first and 1, and it became 4th and 1 from the goal line because they ran the ball 3 times, 2 sneaks with Herbert, 1 handoff to Ekeler. They gained 0 yards on 3 plays, and Herbert had to throw it to Quentin Johnson for a 1-yard touchdown. That's how pathetic their running game is. They can't stop the run. The Lions' 2 running backs, Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, ran all over them. I mean, I thought they were supposed to have a better defense this year. They're horrible. If they didn't have Herbert making amazing throws, they'd be like a 3-win team this year. It's just disgusting how horrible that team is in their management. But man, the Lions, Bison, built that team the way you've always said, from the line out.
Yep.
Drafting defensive and offensive linemen and then filling in the pieces with guys like Jared Goff.
Yeah.
They're a good team. They're a really good team.
If you can run the ball and protect a quarterback who's semi-intelligent and big and strong, you can have an offense that succeeds. And that all starts with the line.
2 really good running backs.
Their record is I don't know have you seen who they play the rest of the year?
The Lions?
The Lions.
Oh, I think a lot of
The
people
Bears,
think
the Packers, the Saints, the Bears, the Broncos, the
they
Vikings.
could clearly end up with the best record.
Oh yeah, they're 7-2. I mean, you guys will push back, but the only tough game they have left is the Cowboys.
Well, that's a tough
That's
game.
not a tough game.
Every other week it's a tough game.
Whatever. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles and Cowboys and Niners have tough records and they'll be beating each other up, while the Lions might just sneak in and get home field.
Yeah.
House, what do you think? Could they do it, or is House on board?
He's
putting his luggage up.
House is putting his luggage
I think
up.
he's on the
Eagles.
plane.
This is
He's on the plane.
Eagles.
This will be his first ever on the plane pod.
He's on the plane.
Eagles next 5 games are Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, Dallas, and Seattle.
Yeah,
it's a tough schedule.
The Eagles go 0-5, 0-5 in that stretch.
I don't think so, but they're definitely going to be looking for that Giants game at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
House, did you hear what I said? Do you believe the possibility the Lions could sneak in and get number 1 home field advantage while the other teams beat each other up?
House sent a message in the text. He said, "The Cowboys suck donkey dick." He's out. So,
well, look.
Well, better to burn out than fade away.
But you're Mace. They had 200 yards rushing yesterday. Okay.
Who's that?
It's the Lions.
Yeah.
Montgomery had 116.
70
Gibbs
on one
had
run.
77s. Had 77. Well, they had a couple QB runs.
They're a good duo back, so.
Absolutely. So if they can run the ball like that, because Gibbs was hurt for like 4 weeks out.
So
of
here's what we're going to come down to then. We're going to get an answer if running the ball, old school running the football, can win in the playoffs versus a quarterback dominant team. We've been saying for as long as we've had this pod that if you don't have one of the top 5 elite quarterbacks, you can't get to or win the Super Bowl. I don't think anybody's willing to say Jared Goff is a top 5 or elite quarterback.
I think he's a top 10 for sure.
Okay, but top 10 is, there's a big difference between top 5 and top 10, I think. And so we're going to find out. I mean, can a running team like this with a decent quarterback do something?
Well, I have to say, I think Jared Goff is better than people think. I think he's in the right place for him. Threw for 333 yards yesterday and 2 touchdowns.
He has played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They have. Look, Amon St. Brown is ridiculous. I think he had like 150 yards receiving yesterday.
Their tight end is really good.
Look, I can tell you what life is like when you can't run the ball, i.e. the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the worst rushing offense in the NFL, and it's fucking miserable. You cannot win without running the ball. You just can't.
Well,
you stack. Yeah.
Well, speaking of, one game at a time, Bison, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is Dakota's 404 passing yard, 4 passing TD performance against the Giants enough to change your opinion that he's just a guy?
No,
of course not.
He's just a guy. He sucks.
Well,
so he lit up the
Giants.
Okay.
Yeah.
They played. The Giants looked like they were playing prevent defense the whole length of the field from the beginning of the game. There was no one covered in that game once.
And that's a classic Dak game, right? I mean, pick apart a team, score a bunch of points, get up. But then when it's a tight game and when he needs to make something happen, he steps out of bounds, when he doesn't have to. He's got to prove a hell of a lot more to me before I think he's anything. He's talented. I mean, every guy's talented. It's that slim margin between being talented and being a legit winner. And I just don't think he's a legit winner.
I think Dak is more talented than a lot of quarterbacks, but he doesn't have whatever it is to close out in close, meaningful games. He does something invariably, throws a pick that never should have tried to force the ball. Time management, whatever. He has not proven himself to be an elite quarterback because of that. He has the talent, but he hadn't proven himself. I agree.
He kind of reminds me of Russell Wilson at the end of his career, where he seems to be thinking more about how do I look out here right now than how am I going to manage this game to win it.
I'm not sure that's going on with Dak.
Well, let's go ahead and poke.
No, I think he just doesn't have. He's never done it. So until he does it, we can't say that he's an elite quarterback. He hasn't led the Cowboys in a meaningful game to a win that matters for the playoffs or beyond, period.
Yeah. When you look at a guy, look at Josh Dobbs stepping in and what he's doing. All these guys are talented. They're all good.
Not Tommy DeVito. Let's not get carried away.
Oh, boy. Could he be one of the worst quarterbacks we've seen take the snap in the NFL game in a while?
It's possible.
Mac Jones, Tommy DeVito, Zach Wilson.
I will take Mac over Tommy. Don't worry.
I have been very impressed with how they've gotten CeeDee Lamb more involved in the offense.
Yeah, well, CeeDee Lamb is just taking it to a whole nother level too. Maybe I don't know if it's his route running or what, but man, that guy's a stud now.
And that Ferguson tight end, he's
Bison. You kind of jumped the gun, but I wanted to talk about Dak since we have our lifelong Cowboys fan with us and ask him who is his favorite quarterback right now. It's got to be Dak, right?
No, look, my new favorite quarterback. All it means is I'm impressed by Dobbs, and I love the fact that he's playing Creed, which is of course the Texas Rangers theme song these days. That doesn't mean anything beyond that, but he is impressive what he's done. He won the game last week, and he wasn't even didn't even hardly know the team or the plays. Then he comes back and has a really good performance this week. I mean, it's kind of fun to watch. How are the Vikings? They've won 5 in a row. Who nobody would have thought that.
And he's done it without Justin Jefferson,
right? He doesn't even know who he is.
or a featured running back.
Did I read correctly that he is like into like rocket science and worked at NASA and shit? Have you seen this?
He interned at NASA twice.
Interned at NASA? I'm like,
that's probably where he lost his eyebrows.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing that he did okay on the Wonderlic test.
Well, yeah.
Hint.
Speaking of,
yeah.
Wonderlic.com. I got a nice email response, by the way, today.
Well, Bison,
did you?
I don't think you have to worry about that.
Bison, who's the second best quarterback in the NFC East?
Oh, it's Sam Howell. I mean, it's Sam Howell. Guess what? You know who's leading the NFL in passing yards? It's Sam Howell.
It must be Sam Howell.
Yeah.
Threw for 3 touchdowns yesterday. Not too shabby.
That reminds me of Jameis Winston. Jameis used to love to lead the league in yards and TDs, and then he'd lead the league in interceptions.
Well, I don't think
losses.
Howell's not doing too bad in INTs. I mean, he's first of all, he's not a rookie, but he really is. I mean, this really is his rookie season. And if you look at the last 6 games, the first 4, I think he had something like 30 sacks, right? I mean, he was getting sacked almost 10 times a game. It was ridiculous. And he's only been sacked like 3 times since then. So, look, he's basically a rookie. He's with Bieniemy, who was there for a lot of the Mahomes. Andy Reid gets credit for making Mahomes. I'm not going to pretend that Bieniemy does. But coming out of that same, the coaching tree. And I'll tell you what, if CJ Stroud is the best rookie out there, and if you were to throw Howell in the mix as a rookie, since he played only 1 game last year, he's certainly the second best. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. And I would absolutely take 24-year-old Sam Howell over Danny DeVito and Dak Prescott right now. I would take him over Dak. Right. I don't have any problem with that.
Oh, he's a lot younger too.
Yeah. So the last 2 quarterbacks I wanted to talk about are Trevor Lawrence and Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy looked
bad day, good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy with Trent Williams back protecting him on the his blind side, and Debo back in the lineup is good enough for that team to be damn good again. And they fucking spanked the Jaguars. The Jaguars scored 3 points, and Trevor Lawrence looked like a first game rookie out there.
That was shocking.
It was amazing.
He did have a good tackle though in the end zone. He ran 100 yards to get the guy who tackled him in the end zone.
I thought Jacksonville had turned the corner. I thought they were getting into that conversation.
Yeah, and they won 5 straight games.
They still might be there. I mean, it's a bad game.
It had to hurt you a little bit, Bison, to see Chase Young putting on such a show with Nick Bosa.
I know.
Well, I mean, listen,
those 2 guys rushing the passer it looks like they scared the daylights out of Trevor Lawrence.
Well, do we think the 3-game Niners was just a hiccup? Are they back?
I think
so.
We need to see some more.
Yeah, they were injured, and I think when you take out some key, players like Trent Williams, who are maybe the best at his position right now, Debo, and Brock had the concussion. Sure, I think that can explain a lot of things, and I think they look like they did when they beat the Cowboys yesterday.
Very, very difficult game this coming Sunday. So we'll see.
What do we think about?
They go to the pirate ship, don't they?
No, we go to Frisco.
Oh,
yes. God.
Yeah.
Jeez, consider that in your plastic.
That should be
now I have my lock. I was going to say I have my lock now.
That's a scrimmage.
Yeah. I'll tell you the game
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing is the Eagles Chiefs.
Oh yeah, could be
Oh,
biggest
Is
game
that
of the year
this weekend?
so far.
That's next weekend.
Next
yeah.
Monday.
This
Oh,
next
next
Monday.
Monday?
Week
Okay.
from today.
Oh,
Week from
that's too
today.
bad because that means that Kelsey won't be with Taylor and Rio this weekend.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry,
too bad.
dude.
So I won't see
Well, I
him.
don't know what day.
You're
what
going
day
there,
is it?
right?
Do you think if
Mace, have
I wear a
You're
Kelsey
looking at
jersey, will she mistake me for him?
yeah.
By
Maybe
chance?
she'll change the words to one of her songs for
Oh,
Bison.
I hope so.
So that was adorable.
Is your
No,
show
well
on Saturday or
Still my heart.
Sunday?
Sunday.
Yeah, probably not.
Sunday. Yeah.
Are you going down there just for Taylor Swift?
Fuck yeah.
And Kelsey.
It's amazing.
He's
Yeah.
a full-on Swiftie.
I love that you were
Amen.
like, I'm not gonna go see her in the US. Like, I'm waiting for South America. Like,
Well, we gotta get to our locks here, but I'll tell you what, prices
No,
in
no.
Rio are about 25% what they were for the nosebleed seats in Detroit.
Yeah, I'll bet they
So
are.
you know,
One last note before we get there. This week, I can't remember a week, and I am looked the stat, but 5
yeah,
walk-off field goals on the last play of the game.
yeah.
Shows you how important having a good kicker is.
yeah,
Yep.
shit. Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you got? Do we have time to talk about tanking for Caleb, or should we move
We
on to
kinda
the
did.
locks?
Yeah, no, I think let's get to our locks. We'll keep an eye on the tankathon. Yeah, let's get to our
Okay.
locks. Rooster,
All
you
right.
got those?
Yeah,
last week's results?
last week was a low point for the SMQBs.
That
No,
other
not
one.
not the way I'm looking at it.
The guy who
Harden
usually picks them wrong got it right. Bison won with the Colts -3 against the Pats. House went with the Texans +7 and won. The rest of us lost. Milk picked the Jags against the Niners
I was
and got
so excited.
That's
spanked.
probably the worst loss
That was the
in
biggest beatdown
Plaxico
so
history.
God.
far. Pope lost by picking the Saints -2.5, and I lost by picking the Falcons -2, who lost to the Cardinals. So I don't know what the standings are. We'll have to figure that out later. Sit down and figure
We all
that out.
suck.
Let's talk about this coming week. Bison, what do you have for your pick?
Well, I don't like a lot of these games. Got to tell you, I don't like them. But I am going to go with the Niners giving 10.5
All right.
To the Bucks.
over the
I
Bucks.
think it's a great pick.
All right.
Yeah.
49ers for Bison, all right?
I'm gonna go with the same strategy. A very good team against a bad team. And I'm gonna go with the Lions -10 against the Bears. After
look
what I
at
saw
that one too.
Thursday
Yep.
night. That
Yep.
team is atrocious. The Lions, I would have taken that at 17.
At 7. Well, you want to, you can.
You know what? Well, it's
You
like
could tease it.
last week when I said we should all
Yeah.
be taking the Cowboys against the Giants, and we talked ourselves into the Giants play the Cowboys. Well, not
Good
this
team
year.
versus bad team.
Not this year.
I was hoping we weren't going to talk about that after I re-listened to that section of the pod.
Hope, you've got an obvious pick here.
An obvious pick.
I mean, you're not liking the
I'm
Cowboys?
taking it if you don't.
No, I'm not taking the Cowboys.
Oh.
I'm still not confident in their. They can stumble on the
Typical
road.
Dallas fan. Listen to
Absolutely.
this guy.
I'm drinking the Texans Kool-Aid since they did damage to my financial hopes, and I'm going to take the Texans giving 4 at home against the Cardinals.
Yeah,
All right, you better hope
Kyler Murray.
better hope the Kyler thing is a mirage.
Well, I think the
All right,
Cardinals suck anyway.
I am taking the Cowboys, giving 11 to the lowly Panthers.
I like that pick.
That and the Jets. The Bills giving 7 to the Jets, and even the Commanders giving 10 to the Giants. I think they're all can't.
Did you see
miss.
the pick that Zach Wilson threw?
Yeah, he's
End of
terrible. He's
That
terrible.
was so. Did you see the look on Rogers' face? who
How about-
clearly he's wanting. He's like, can we because he wants to come back this year. So he's like, maybe we can still win. Sneak
he
in.
doesn't want to come back. He's full of shit.
Did you see that? I mean, like Salah's answer, like was it yesterday or was it last week where they were like, why are you still playing him? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know.
Like
He's like, you got me there. He literally was like, can you take the fifth?
backup, or I guess he is the backup. Who's the third string? Do something.
Milk, I have one last question before we leave football, or at least the NFL. Is the NFC South going to produce another
No.
losing playoff team?
Yes.
Playoff team
Because
with a losing
I'm pretty
record?
sure the Saints who were gonna like the last couple of weeks run away with this. They lost Derek Carr, I think.
Yeah.
I think they lost Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's in the lockup.
right.
Derek's got a concussion.
Train wreck. Jameis Winston came in and did exactly what Jameis Winston does. He threw two touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and he threw a third interception and it was called back. That is what Jameis Winston does. So the Saints, it's going to be Bucks can win the NFC South. It's disgusting.
By the way, I just dropped Derek Carr for Jameis on my fantasy team as my
Don't do it,
backup.
man. Don't do it.
All right. That's it on the NFL. It's getting interesting. There's good storylines this year. So there's really good shit going on. It's actually looking a little bit like the NBA, where like the games are interesting and fun, but there's so much other shit going on that it's actually some of that stuff's more interesting to talk about than the actual results. So speaking of NBA, let's get there. Hey, how's that thing working out with Harden on the West Coast?
Again, if GMs would just listen to the SMQBs podcast, they would not make these mistakes. Right?
That's for sure.
We say over and over again, no team in their right mind would take Harden on their team. He's not what does he call himself? The system. He's the systemic cancer on a team.
That guy's takedown. Did you see the Mavs color guy's takedown of him?
No.
That was amazing. He said, "You're not the beard. You're not the system. You're the problem."
Yeah.
So,
I love it. You're not the beard.
The Clippers are 3-6. They have lost 5 straight games. Meanwhile, the 76ers, without Harden on their team, are 8-1, a game ahead of the Celtics.
Liberated.
Yeah.
Does he recognize this shit, or is he just so
No, he's in a strip club. Why would he pay
narcissistic?
attention to that?
He's just in his own world. He's terrible. I think the NBA is just like you say the NFL though, Milk. There's like 5 good teams.
Yeah.
The West is weak this year. And, teams like the Clippers, they try to make these desperate moves. They move up into the upper echelon and it's not going to happen. I mean, I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. And they've got future Hall of Famers on their team, 4 of them. I don't know. I don't see it happening. I like the East. I think the Bucks are struggling because they've gotten old and have no defense. I think the Dame Lillard move may not be what everyone thought it was going to be because the guy can't play any defense.
A little early for that.
That's the problem with something like that. I mean, and that's where the NBA, like this is almost like an extended preseason, right? I mean, it's like they're still so early in the year, and these guys they're not playing that hard. I mean, they're not playing super hard at this point, but they are still trying to gel. So I don't know that you can read too much into it. I mean, did you think Detroit would be 2-9 at this point?
2-9? No.
Yeah.
I didn't think Houston would be as good as they are either.
Right.
But you can look at the lineups and know that the Celtics and the Nuggets were going to be good. And we've always said if the other Fruit Loop out there, Kyrie, ever put his head straight, that would be a pretty damn twosome, and they're playing well together.
They are, but the problem is, other than Derek Lively, who's a rookie, they don't have a whole lot of interior defense. So when they play the bigger teams like the Nuggets, they get blown out. So we'll watch. They can beat a lot of teams, but they still have some issues.
Minnesota's an interesting team to watch, and when what did they do that trade for Gobert last year? Right, this is their
Last
second year
in the
with-
offseason before last year. Yeah.
right. And so when they matched him with Towns, I was really curious, as to if they were. I think we talked about it last season as to whether this was going to be the start of a new era of big men, dominating again. If they were bucking the trend of the 3-point shooter, the perimeter game, and all that. And it's really interesting to see how it's playing out now, because they didn't have success. They didn't have much success last year with it, but right now they look formidable for sure. And it's
Anthony,
it looks
Anthony
like they've
Edwards
learned.
is playing like all NBA
Yeah.
right now.
yeah,
Almost
yeah,
30
that's right.
points a game.
That's
It looks
right.
like they've figured out how to have Towns and Gobert on the court at the same time. Where last year they didn't know how to play together.
Right, that's right. So it's curious to see how that, because I still think that's sort of an interesting experiment. Have 2 7-footers, who basically play largely under the rim, I guess, playing at the same time. Milk, the rim is the part
It's the
that you
rim.
shoot the ball through. Hopefully, it drops through the rim. Just so you're following.
I was
Drop
just
to the
wondering,
rim, then it's a basket.
since
Yeah.
House got off the pod, do we have to talk about the 76ers now? Or do we? Can
We
skip
sort of
it?
already have. They have
Okay.
the
Yeah, I
best
think he
record
already-
in the NBA right now.
He already talked about him.
8-1.
Okay.
Followed by the Nuggets.
Well,
and,
but listen,
and
I mean, I
Dallas.
think you can't talk about Philadelphia without appreciating how cursed that city is and how nothing good ever happens to them in sports, right? And I mean, once again, one of their forwards, Kelly Oubre Jr., was actually hit by a car at a crosswalk, and thankfully, I think he's doing okay, but he's going to be out for some time. But I just, since House isn't here, I feel compelled to point out how unfair the world is to Philadelphia, and how bad, just how sad everybody should feel for Philadelphia all the
Yeah.
time. So,
And by the way, I'm also hearing good things about the Orlando Magic. Is there truth to this?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I'm kidding. Banchero.
Don't they have a
the guy
really
from Duke,
Banchero? Isn't that
he's
his
a
name?
stud. He's a stud.
Okay. I know.
He's
I know that.
he's looking like a superstar.
All right.
And they have other really good young players. Hey,
Hope, I will attach
last
myself to
episode,
them.
buzzer beaters, I said I'd really like to see how Tyrese Maxey plays this year without Harden clogging up the offense. And as House points out before he left, he dropped 50 on the Pacers last night. And the Pacers are a good team. They're 6-4, and they're a good team, good defensive
That's
team.
enough on Philly.
All right.
Way too much.
Way too much. By the way,
All
when
right.
we move off the NBA, we need to go back and say House's Plaxico lock. We skipped it.
Oh, we did, yeah. House's Plaxico lock for week 11.
From 30,000
is-
feet, he is
he
reported
takes-
to us.
He takes the Vikings giving 1.5 points at Denver.
Oh,
So he's on board with
Potentially a good pick.
Pope's favorite quarterback.
wow.
Take me
The
I'm interested to
higher.
see how Denver does tonight, by the way.
Yeah,
They're kind of on my radar now after that Chiefs win.
I could
Really?
use P. Ryan and Wilson with a good game.
Uh-huh.
I need 7 points out of McLaughlin.
It's out of the backup running back.
That's going to be
Oh.
tough.
So, by the way, not only
You
did I
hope
not
P. Ryan
start,
breaks his leg.
not only did I not start Mitchell, who got 14 points for the Bears, but I waived Jalen Warren, who got 18 points for the Steelers.
I
And
almost
then-
picked him up Sunday morning. Damn it.
It just goes to show you can overthink these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh.
All right, what are we on
All
to
right.
next?
Anything else in the NBA? Are we good with that?
We're good.
All right. So let's talk a little NCAA football. Hope, Milk.
I mean, this we're kind of in a lull in NCAA football. I do want to hear a report from Coach Primeland from Rooster, but
Yeah.
there were some potential upsets. Miami gave Florida State a good game, and we thought for a while that Washington, might have some issues, but they both came through. They came through against Utah, so we really don't have much of a mix-up in the top 6, 7 teams. Alabama continues to play well. Texas barely won against TCU. They lost their top running back. Will that affect them down the road? I don't know. Oregon looking good still against USC. Next Saturday is Cupcake Saturday, I call it, because nobody plays anybody that's going to concern them. And then we have a de facto kind of play into the playoffs the Thanksgiving weekend with Ohio State going to the Big House in Michigan. And other than that, we got to wait for the
You
championship.
mean America's
games.
team?
Who, Michigan?
Yeah. That's what Harbaugh calls them now.
I did love the emotion from their coach, though. That was special.
Yeah.
Did you?
But
Really? Did you? I mean,
It was a little much. It was
the
a little
guy
much.
dropped like 3 F-bombs in his interview. Like,
yeah,
I don't get a grip. You're on
Yeah,
national
I was-
television. I don't know. I'm not
Yeah,
okay with that.
he got carried over by the emotion. I mean,
Shows you how
Nobody
much they
is-
love Harbaugh. It's crazy.
Nobody's
but they do.
latching on to Michigan, by the way. Nobody's like, I'm going to root for
Nah,
them.
I don't know.
Harbaugh
I
got
think
screwed.
get your, listen, let me say that. Get your fucking shit together and keep the fucking language to a minimum, okay?
Fuck yeah.
I
I will
think the
tell you this.
college football playoff committee is sweating bullets, and they're hoping that this stuff sorts itself out, because otherwise they're going to have some big decisions to make with some one-loss teams that are going to get left out. And I don't know at this point who those are going to be, but it's chaos about to happen.
Someone's going to get
James
left out.
Madison undefeated, baby.
Yeah. Let them go let them go bowling.
The most, by the way, 2 things. The most exciting thing, if you want drama, and fuck Bama. I mean, they did it again, didn't they? They made you think it was ending, and now they are just as good as they've always been. If they beat Georgia, now you've got 1 loss Georgia, 1 loss Ohio State or Michigan, and then you've got Texas maybe at 1 loss. What do you do when you have to decide between Texas and Alabama?
Texas
And
beat
Texas-
Alabama at Tuscaloosa. I mean,
Texas. Can you put
isn't that
Bama
the
in above
tiebreak?
Texas?
Hey, I see that Missouri's moved up 5 spots in the AP top 25. Did they score a bunch of points this weekend or something?
They smoked the Volunteers.
Yeah, they did. But I'll tell you,
Are
you
you
look
worried
ahead to
about
next
next
year-
weekend, Milk?
worried. We're
Milk.
gonna get rocked. We suck. What do you mean?
Yeah.
So, Rooster, give us a report on the Coach Prime experience. I'll say this: it looked like a lot of empty seats there. I was a little surprised.
No.
To
I
see
took
that.
I took that picture an hour and a half before game time.
Oh, okay. All right.
There wasn't an
okay.
empty seat in the house.
Okay. Give us the update.
It's still rocking. There's still, the music it befitting of prime time. It's just a rocking place. If you've never been to Folsom Stadium in Boulder, you really ought to go just for the scenery. The beauty of being in that place surrounded by the mountains is spectacular. But I think that this game was exactly the Chargers Detroit Lions game. There's almost no difference. The Buffs can score at will through the air. They cannot run the ball. They can't gain a yard when they need a yard on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. They can't get it unless they run the ball. They can't stop the run. The other team just runs through them like a knife through butter. But man, can they air it out? And they have an exciting offense. And Arizona did not win that game until 4 seconds left in the game. It was a back and forth, exciting, fun game. And then it came down to a field goal because, once again, Arizona gets the ball and they're ripping off like 15-yard runs by a guy who left the Colorado program when Prime came in because he didn't like all the hype. and transferred out. And he gained over 100 yards. I forget his name. But it is a spectacular place to watch a game. When they get some linemen and linebackers, they're going to be a damn good team.
What kind of celebrities were there?
Well, I saw a guy who I thought was Dr. J. I'm not sure.
Hey, that wasn't him?
It was Dr. K.
I didn't get close enough to confirm. He sure looked like Dr. J on the sideline. There were a ton of rappers there, and there was an article in the local paper, or I guess on the local news, that Shedeur Sanders drives a Bentley around campus.
Oh yeah.
And some cop booted his Bentley, and they were all just outraged over that.
I think it's actually a Rolls Royce.
Oh, it's a Rolls Royce convertible. That's right.
It's the SUV. It's a $450,000 car, and Coach Prime said he was keeping receipts with regard to his kid's car getting booted. So,
his other son,
I
think his other son is Shiloh Sanders.
It is.
Wears 21 like his dad, and has the same aversion to tackling people, just like his dad did. I mean, there would be these plays where it's like first and goal from the 5, and the Arizona guy is running, like unabated to the end zone with nothing but Shiloh Sanders between him and the end zone, and Sanders sort of runs himself out of the play to avoid the contact, and the guy just strolls in the end zone. It's unbelievable. Anyway, it was a fun day. I had a great time with my son, who's an alum.
It's awesome.
I'd go back there as much as possible. I love that place.
Cool. Well, listen, anything else on college football? Because
Oregon's defense looked pretty impressive against USC, didn't you think?
Yeah, till the end.
Caleb Williams looked like he had no time to throw the ball early on.
Okay.
In that game.
Okay. All right. I can't hold myself back anymore. It's time to punch someone. And I'm going right into college football with this.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I cannot hold back on this. This is one of the most egregious punchable faces we've had in a long time. Texas A&M University is a public land grant research university.
Farmers fight.
It's a public university. Texas A&M in 2017 signed one Jimbo Fisher to a 10-year, $75 million contract to get him to come there and leave Florida State. And then, because things were going so well, they extended him in 2021.
Well, they beat Alabama that year.
To prevent him from going to LSU.
Now, they have decided that just a year and a half later, the program is stuck in neutral. So they have bought out his contract at a cost of over $76 million. I mention?
But that's okay, Bison, because I'm sure wherever he goes, there'll be a deferral, so they won't have to pay that all.
Did I mention that this is a public university charged with educating young people, and that college debt and the cost of college in this country is devastating graduates to the point where many people question the wisdom of even going to college? This is too much. This is too much. I'm sorry. I know people love college football. This is fucking atrocious. This is perhaps the darkest stain on college football and college sports in general. I'm sorry. This is so offensive to anybody who has any sensibility. I mean, I know that the Michigan sign stealing thing is bad because it looks like cheating, and that's a whole different story. But to me, this is so much more offensive and just disgusting. It is greed. It is ego. It is complete lack of priorities. And this is one of the biggest problems with this country in general. I cannot be more mortified over this. I think anybody who loves college football ought to be appalled by this, ought to be embarrassed by it. There is nobody looks good in this situation. But I'll tell you what, Texas A&M, you're a fucking joke. You are a fucking joke of a university. Your degrees shouldn't count for shit at this point because you don't care about the students who go there.
I think everybody except for my law partner, Larry Taylor. I agree.
Aren't you mad at, as a lawyer, the idiots that agreed to this contract, that put this contract together? Because here's
absolutely.
What's the problem? If I'm the next guy coming in and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, you fired Jimbo Fisher because he sucked and you think I'm better. Okay. I'm going to have what he's having.
That guy who had a national championship.
You better give me a guaranteed contract or I'm not coming there. It's gonna get worse. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, it's fucking gross.
Well, they need to stop. They need to stop signing these extensions.
Why
until a guy does something?
Right, and it's all out of fear that he's gonna lose. He's gonna leave the school. That shit's got to stop. Like,
well, he would have.
Then they should have let him go. He hadn't won.
Go to LSU. Right, it would have been the perfect decision.
He just got off beating Alabama, and they had a good year, and the program was going in the right. I'm not condoning it. I'm just telling you what their mindset is.
I get it.
These coaches who are the highest players on the state payroll, right? You look at most of the SEC schools. I'll bet you the highest paid state employee is the football coach in most SEC states.
Yep.
That's embarrassing.
Roy Williams was that for North Carolina system.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, but again, not to play devil's advocate, the football programs bring in how much money a year? I'm not justifying $100 million. I'm just saying.
I think it's, if you're an alum of that school, and you can't be happy. Think of the scholarships that could have helped. Think of the kids who go there who actually are putting themselves through school and have to work 2 and 3 jobs so they can afford a meal plan. The kids who don't have health care. There's the teachers, the professors who don't have tenure and are trying to make a living, and it's appalling. It's appalling, and it just, I don't know. It really makes college sports a little grosser than it already was in. And this is a really dark moment. And quite honestly, I'm surprised there hasn't been more written and said about that.
So you didn't answer my question, Bison. They won't have to pay all that money because once Jimbo gets a job, then don't they get to defer whatever money he makes to what they owe him?
I don't know. I mean, I guess the devil's in the details of the buyout.
So the
He's
answer
probably better
is
off not working.
Yeah, maybe he takes a year off.
No. The answer is no. He had negotiated in that buyout a non-deferral clause, which means they're on the hook for all of that money. He can go get money at any other school, and it's not a deferral. They owe him $76 million, $19 million of which is due on January the 1st of next year, and $7 million yearly until 2031.
I'm sorry, but I don't. Jimbo Fisher was very good with Jameis Winston, who, by the way, now I'm realizing really carried his ass. And even though he fucking sucks, I hate Jameis Winston. But wow. I don't understand. I know they had a good year that year.
Next thing you're going to say something nice about Kevin Kiermaier.
There's nothing nice to say about him. I don't understand why Jimbo Fisher was not so. I mean, you could see this type of deal with Nick Saban. I never understood it. I don't understand why he got this fucking deal. These people are idiots. Whatever these boosters at A&M were thinking, this is the dumbest deal I've ever. And all the lawyers should be fired who put it together.
I think just as a rule of thumb, you should never pay a grown man who calls himself Jimbo $76 million.
Well, they're going to pay him
Rooster,
more.
the final word on that.
They're going to pay him more to not coach than they paid him to coach. They only paid him $44 million to coach.
By the way, I would have kept him. I would have kept him like 2 more years. What are you gonna? You're gonna suck next year now. I'm not saying Jimbo was the answer, but I don't know. It's a horrible situation.
Yeah. All right. Any other punches to throw?
I have a quick punch to our
Good.
favorite target in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers. If this guy actually ruptured his Achilles tendon, there is no fucking way he's coming back this year, which means he just can't live without the attention. So he keeps teasing this comeback so he can get some attention. I don't know. Maybe he's all pissed off that all the Swifties out there like Bison aren't paying attention to him anymore because they love Travis Kelce so much.
Who?
If he indeed is coming back, then he did not have a ruptured tendon. He had like a swollen tendon or some bullshit. The whole thing smells like fish. There's no way he's coming back if he had surgery for a ruptured Achilles tendon.
It's a lot of attention on the sidelines too. They panned to him a lot.
Bloody sock.
Yeah, he's just
Is this a bloody sock moment?
He's an attention whore, and he needs to be punched.
Let's just punch him every week. I don't understand. Let's just
we see that.
He's a jackass.
All right, next punch. Anybody else? Rooster.
Yeah.
Give us a lasso.
All right, a quick lasso to an amazing baseball player and human being, Shohei Ohtani. This guy last year hit 304, had 44 homers, and went 10-5 with a 3.14 ERA before he had to undergo Tommy John surgery. He's probably going to sign a $500 million contract this offseason with the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets, one of those teams. Probably the Dodgers. He likes the West Coast better. And God help us if the Dodgers get him, right? But he just announced that he is donating 60,000 youth baseball gloves to about 20,000 elementary schools, which are all of the elementary schools throughout Japan, in partnership with New Balance, which is making these gloves. And it's just sort of an indication of the kind of guy he is. He's really a model person. He's the kind of guy professional sports needs as their face person, and he deserves every penny of the money he's about to make.
And right there is the perfect juxtaposition of a punchable face and a lasso. Jimbo Fisher and Ohtani. There it is.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well done, Rooster. Well done. Who else has a lasso? I think we got it. We did have a mailbag lasso that we should at least mention from Moose Jaw, our NHL correspondent, who wanted us to point out, and it's fair, we covered last week in the Punchable Face episode about the hockey player Adam Johnson, who died when his neck was cut by a skate blade. Really terrible story. We talked about it last week, but Moose Jaw wanted us to point out and give a lasso to the owner of who was it? The owner of the Winnipeg Jets, who chartered a plane so that a number of his teammates, of Adam Johnson's teammates, could go to the funeral, and sent them to the funeral with representatives of the team and the franchise and some of his friends. So a nice gesture by the owner of the Jets.
Hey, while we're on the subject of Moose Jaw, I might have to go back and listen to his NHL show that he did for us, the preview. But does anyone else remember him predicting that the Edmonton Oilers were going to be a Stanley Cup contender this year?
Yeah, it's not looking so good, huh?
Yeah, I don't know.
As they bring in the their AHL minor league coach to take over operations now, right?
I don't know. This could be one of the Moose's swing and a miss years.
Yeah. All right.
Previews.
Any other lassos?
I kind of have. I was thinking buzzer beater, but it's kind of maybe more of a lasso. Are y'all familiar with the story of Camilo Villegas and what he did this weekend?
Nope.
So very flamboyant PGA golfer years ago. Everybody was totally in love with him. He was up and coming rising star. He went 9 years without winning a tournament, fell off the face. He was ranked 654th in the year in golf at the end of last year. He had a 22-year-old daughter who died of cancer in 2020, and he'd just been lost since then. But he won his first PGA tournament in 9 years on Sunday, and it was very emotional. And it was just a great moment watching him realize finally after 9 years he broke that streak and he won a tournament, in memory of his daughter. And now he gets to go to the Masters and the other big tournaments again, and you'll see his name on the leaderboard. So I just thought
that's
that
cool.
was,
Yeah, that's a good
awesome.
one. I didn't know that. Definitely a good one. So, all right, buzzer beaters.
Let's go root for the Broncos backup running back tonight.
We got to do a buzzer beaters.
as long as P. Ryan gets about 10 points, I'll let you have him.
Milk, give us your buzzer beater so you get out of here.
I'm out. I'm dealing with a 5-year-old.
All right.
Wow, that's quite.
Oh,
hey, there he is.
What's your buzzer beater?
What do you have in your mouth there, bud?
Is that a mouthful of Oreos?
Does he have a grill?
He's back from
mouth
flag
guard.
football.
Nice.
From New York Sun.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go Knicks.
Unmute.
Rooster, give us the buzzer beater. You got one?
No, I'm done.
All right. Anybody with a buzzer
Wow.
beater? No buzzers. All right. No beaters. I see one.
Go ahead.
Do you have
Preston.
a buzzer beater?
Let's hear it.
What's your sports story of the week, Preston?
All
can't
right,
hear
go
him.
Bucks. He
Go
said
Bucks.
go Bucks.
Oh, go Bucks. All
Go
right.
Bucks. All right. We'll leave it there.
All
Good
right.
week,
They have
guys.
a good chance
show.
this weekend, Preston.
Good luck with that,
Everybody-
dude.
Everybody have a
Alright.
good week. See you guys.
See ya.